Hello guys, welcome back to the fourth Grav NHL recap. Today we're going to be looking at the games from last night, the 12 games. It was a pretty busy night. We're going to look for the highlights, the best plays, and ultimately the best stories. Now there was 12 NHL games last night. That's a lot. Now I'm going to put a full disclaimer here. I'm not going to go through every single game because if I were to do that, this would just be way too long. Maybe in the days that there's not that many games, I can cover every single one of them, but when there's 12 games on the night that I want to cover, and games that I want to cover really in depth, sometimes I'm going to have to sacrifice a couple of games that are just not as interesting as the others. Speaking of interesting, the first game of the day was between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins ended up winning this 4-2, but there was a lot of different storylines in one jam-packed game. Now, the biggest storyline coming out of this, of course, is Phil Kessel getting a hat trick. What a beauty. In his first goal, it was pretty much a screen, no chance for Subban, the Vegas Golden Knights goaltender. And then 2 straight times he gets a breakaway, and then 2 straight times he scores on the same move going top shelf, and he scores a hat trick, but a well-deserved one. The Vegas Golden Knights defense not looking the best on that play, but Phil Kessel making the best of his opportunities. But overall, Malcolm Subban was pretty much getting absolutely trash defense. And on the other side, the Vegas Golden Knights defense, or the offense, was actually pretty good. They got 37 shots, and were only able to score on 2 of them. But Casey Smith was amazing, making a variety of great saves throughout the night, and he was definitely one of the most impressive players throughout that whole game. Now, Pittsburgh improves to a 2-1 record, while the Vegas Golden Knights fall to 1-4. Not a great start for the Vegas Golden Knights, and not the one they needed. I knew that they were losing Nate Schmidt, and that was a big part of their team, but this game definitely exemplified that. They were allowed too many quality shots, too many, of course, breakaways to Phil Kessel. I feel like if Nate Schmidt were on this team, that wouldn't happen. Now, the next game was between the Washington Capitals and the New Jersey Devils, and if you watch my power rankings from yesterday, you know that I put the Washington Capitals #1, and they're making me pay for that, apparently, as New Jersey Devils win 6-0, an overwhelmingly big win for New Jersey to maybe solidify themselves as a decent performer in that Metropolitan Division. Again, they've only played 2 games, so this was a huge win for them. And I'm going to say this now, while Phoenix Copley made a couple of good saves, this was definitely a terrible night for him. Again, I never really had too much confidence in Phoenix Copley coming into this season and being an NHL backup. I don't know why Washington had confidence in him, but this game really exemplified that. He allowed way too many soft goals, and overall, it was just a terrible night on his end, which really, while the Washington Capitals didn't score a goal, he was probably the main reason why it was why the gap was so far away between the scores. Now, the next game I want to talk about is between the Edmonton Oilers and the Boston Bruins. McDavid getting an absolutely highlight reel goal to start off the game, but then it was all Boston for the rest of it for a couple of power play goals. And for the Edmonton Oilers, I was watching a little bit of this game. They were getting pretty unlucky. I remember Ryan Nugent-Hopkins got like 2 post shots and one that just rode across the red line. It was crazy the amount of unluckiness the Edmonton Oilers had, and while the Boston Bruins, I think, deserved this game, it was a pretty wacky game, and Halak made quite a few good safe as well. For Connor McDavid and his first goal of the season, that was a patented Connor McDavid goal where he goes around goes around the defenseman and absolutely blows past the goalie. Pretty much a really typical Connor McDavid goal, which is usually a highlight reel. The next game I want to talk about was a surprisingly fantastic game tonight between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Florida Panthers. The Columbus Blue Jackets ended up winning 5-4 in regulation, but this was a back and forth game that was really close throughout the whole game. Now, this game was tied 4-4, and it was looking to go in overtime. I think a couple minutes left in the third period. Then Cam Atkinson scores with James Reimer pretty much down for the counts. The Florida Panthers defense not being that great, but Cam Atkinson scoring the game-winning goal with 2 minutes left, I think, in the third period, and a clutch goal right there for Columbus as they get a big win in regulation, bringing the 3-1, while the Florida Panthers still don't have a win on the season. On the Columbus Blue Jackets side of things, I thought Korpisalo had a pretty decent game. While he did allow 4 goals, I thought he made some great saves, and Panarin with an absolutely amazing game, or with 1 goal and 3 assists for 4 points on the game. That was fantastic. Had a great night, and for the Columbus Blue Jackets, they're looking pretty good right now. Without Seth Jones, the defensive side might be an issue there, but their offense at least is keeping up with it. Now, maybe one of the more weird games of the night, the Los Angeles Kings played the Montreal Canadiens, and the Los Angeles Kings ended up shutting them out 3-0. Now, Canadiens didn't play all that bad. They got 40 shots on net, but Jack Campbell was amazing in goal, and when the Montreal Canadiens got a lot of opportunities, there were some post shots, there was some goaltender interference overturns. Overall, it was a crazy game for Montreal, and a crazy game that they somehow didn't score in. And for the Los Angeles Kings, I still don't have much hope in Jack Campbell being a starter, but in this game, he certainly gave me a little bit of confidence in that. For Los Angeles, if Jack Campbell can play like this throughout the whole year, and for routes, at least when Quick is injured, then they'll be getting some wins for sure. For Los Angeles, they didn't play the greatest in this game, but they did get some lucky bounces, and of course, Jeff Carter whacking the puck out of the air to score a goal was nice as well. A pretty big offensive battle between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Detroit Red Wings took place. The Toronto Maple Leafs ended up winning 5-3, but the Detroit Red Wings getting some goals there. Nick Jensen with 2 goals, but otherwise, it was a pretty good game for Toronto. But the big storylines are the records that were broken in this game by both Austin Matthews and Morgan Rielly. Austin Matthews becoming the youngest player in NHL history to record multiple points in his team's first 5 games, replacing Wayne Gretzky. Now, of course, I don't think Austin Matthews is Wayne Gretzky, but that's an excellent record to break, and another broken record from Wayne Gretzky. So for Austin Matthews, he's making history yesterday, and with that goal, he's been on an excellent pace so far, scoring the most goals in the league. He's been on a tear to start the season. Now, Morgan Rielly's record, I think, is just a little bit more impressive as well. He now has 12 points on the season, but now passes Bobby Orr for the most points by a D-man in his first 5 games of the season in the last 100 years. When you pass Bobby Orr for anything, especially when it comes to points in the day's age with less scoring, it's an excellent start of the season for Morgan Rielly, obviously, and he's currently leading the league in points as a defenseman. Toronto Maple Leafs overall just killing it in the score sheet with Mitch Marner, Tavares, Morgan Rielly, and Austin Matthews. They're doing wonders, and the offense has been just there every single night for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's just been coming after coming after coming, and it's not really seeming to stop right now. It just keeps coming, and no team has really had an answer for the offense there, especially that power play, which has been lethal. And while you're playing Detroit, it does help. They have been able to score goals against other opponents as well. Now we have a pretty big upset. I guess we have the upset alert between the Vancouver Canucks and the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Vancouver Canucks actually end up winning 4-1. Now you guys know the Tampa Bay Lightning are my second favorite team, so this game, watching it was just a pretty big disappointment. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning did outplay the Vancouver Canucks, so it was pretty obvious. They did get some unlucky bounces, and Anders Nilsson for the Vancouver Canucks, their goaltender, of course, was absolutely fantastic in net. So while the Tampa Bay Lightning did not get the win, they still played pretty decent, and they'll likely get a win if they redid this. For the Vancouver Canucks, you got the usual suspects. You got Elias Pettersson scoring another goal. It wasn't a pretty one. It was a tip-in, but a tip-in nonetheless is another goal for Elias Pettersson. He's had an absolutely great start to his NHL career, and so far, he's looking to be right now the Calder favorite for a lot of people, and why not? He's scoring a ton of goals, he's scoring a ton of points, and he's looked fantastic. And Brock Besser also getting his first goal of the season, which is huge for him after he had some rumors about him slumping on the season, and he needed to break those. He finally got his first goal of the season. The next game was hands down the game of the night for me between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Minnesota Wild. This game, it looked like the Chicago Blackhawks were going to get the win. It was 2-0, and then Minnesota came back a little bit, I think, in that second period, and then Chicago scores early in that third period, and then Minnesota ties it with, I think, 20 seconds left. Ryan Suter right in front with a backhand. It goes into overtime, and it was an absolutely, it gave me stress. I was rooting hard for the Minnesota Wild in this game. It was great to see them come back and to get this into overtime. And it was back and forth. Kane with an opportunity. There was a couple of great saves made by both Dubnyk and Ward. But then Zucker comes in and was a dumb-up pass. Comes in right alone and then sneaks it past Cam Ward on the 5-hole. And the Minnesota Wild score 4-3 and win that game. It was an excellent game. It was a nail-biter. And honestly, it was a fantastic game to watch for routes. I only saw the last 10 minutes of it, but I'm really thankful that I did. The next game was between the Calgary Flames and the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis Blues had a fantastic game throughout. The Calgary Flames came back a little bit, but the St. Louis Blues ended up winning 5-3. It was a back and forth game. The shots were pretty even, and overall the opportunities were pretty even. I think both goaltenders had okay nights, some good saves, but overall it was more of an offensive game for both teams. James Neal gets his first goal of the season for the Calgary Flames, and for the St. Louis Blues, David Perron gets his first goal as a St. Louis Blue, his second goal as a St. Louis Blue, and his third goal as a St. Louis Blue, all all in this game for the hat trick for David Perron. I didn't even know this hat trick happened until this morning, so I was completely unaware, and watching the highlights, that was a nice surprise. And for St. Louis, they get their first win of the season, a much needed one over the Calgary Flames, and if they want to make the playoffs, if they want to be a good team, David Perron will likely want to have to cycle into this offense, and they'll likely want to have the offense get rolling like they were in this game, and they'll want Jake Allen to be better. He was decent in this game, he made quite a few good saves, but overall it was on the right track for Jake Allen. It wasn't a bad game, but it was a pretty decent one. For the last game of the night between the Winnipeg Jets and the Nashville Predators, it did not disappoint. A fantastic game on both sides. The Nashville Predators ended up winning 3-0, but it was an entertaining game. There was a lot of chances, and of course, not a lot of goals, but a lot of quality chances and a lot of excitement. Now, too good right now, Pekka Rinne ended up getting the shutout against the Winnipeg Jets, which was fantastic for him. He ended up saving 29 shots, and he made some excellent saves. The Jets were a decent offensive team in this game, and while they're a fantastic offensive team on paper, they had some excellent opportunities in this game to score, but Pekka Rinne was not having any of that. On the Nashville side of things, they had some great offensive pressure, and the Winnipeg Jets defense did not look the greatest in this game, even though they had a couple penalty kills, and they did look pretty decent. The Nashville Predators ended up having 9 power plays and not scoring, which was pretty crazy. Their penalty kill looked good, but on 5-on-5, Winnipeg just weren't able to get it done. Oh, and yes, while I didn't talk about the Colorado Avalanche versus Buffalo Sabres game, I want to give credit to Rasmus Dahlin, who got his first assist of his career, first point of his career. While I wasn't going to talk about that game, that was an excellent milestone for Rasmus Dahlin. Of course, Rasmus Dahlin, the first overall pick, getting his first point is a big story. But again, it was a crazy night for the NHL, 12 games being played. It was a ridiculous night, a ton of fantastic games, a ton of fantastic goals, and overall, just watching the highlights from all these games and watching the best plays. It was a fantastic night for the NHL. And while there's no games today, this Friday, I would have taken that day, like yesterday, any day, because there was a lot of great games going on. But of course, in this series, I also want to hear from you guys. Which games do you think were the best? Which games did you watch yesterday? What play did you like? What highlights did you like? And what do you ultimately think about yesterday's NHL action? But that's what for you guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you like and subscribe again. Tell me down below in the comments down below what you thought about the video and what do you think about yesterday's NHL action. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.